Thank you very much to give me to invite me to give the possibility to tell about the impact of plant breeding for the European farmers, and because it has been a very hot topic in many years, and I'm talking on behalf of the COPA COGECA, and COPA COGECA is we are an umbrella organization with about 22 million farmers, and we are full members from all the member states, and we have a lot of different organizations with small and medium-sized and big farmers. We have old-fashioned farmers, we have modern farmers, so we have all of them. So we have to deal with what the markets actually want to have and what they want to have in the future as well. And then we, at the moment now, we are very much focused on what is going on in the future, because in Europe they want to renew the legislation for plant property, the PRN we call it, and we also discuss about breeding techniques, and it is needed because we are very much focused and we want to deliver the demand for the future. And we also look at what we actually need more than ever, because we have a climate change. We know that pesticides resistance now in the last 50 years, pesticides has delivered a lot of food to the society of the world, but we know that pesticide doesn't work anymore, won't work so good any longer, and it is maybe not good for the nature. And then the industry demands a lot more from the plant production. We need to supply a lot more that before was supplied by fossil materials. And then we have to feed the world. And feed the world, it is really a challenge, and not Europe alone. And then we have a political movement in Europe, and it is not very simple. But if you look at to feed the world, it is just a figure taken out of the World Resource Institute, that we actually, even when the West world eat half of the meat what we do today per inhabitant, then we have to increase the yield per hectare with about 45% before 2050. So, and plus, if we don't stop the desertification in the world, that the desert taking over arable land, then we have to produce even more than 55%, and all these things. So we really need to speed up the process of plant breeding, and it is really a thing we need to focus on. So we need to have, that's what I said, we need to have speed up the breeding, but also what kind of breedings, because as I said before, we have to deliver products from the farmers to the industry, to the consumers, and the consumers was once, for 50 years ago, food was food, but in the future, food will be many things, because especially the wealthy consumers in the world, they want to have a lot different kind of quality, and it is not always the same quality they mean. And if you look at what we have in Europe, the plant breeding has actually went very well, because you see here in wheat, the yield in ton per hectare in Europe, and compared to United States, it has increased a lot. And the main thing of that, it is the plant breeding. And so the benefit of the plant breeding in Europe has been that we can produce a lot more with new varieties than we could before, and the efficiency of the input for the production is very important, because the efficiency, it is a profit for the farmer. If you look at the yield per hectare, again in wheat, since just in the last 50 years, it has increased a lot in different in the different country, and it is nearly the same in all the countries. But there's one country, it is a black line, that is Denmark. There's a difference in compared to the other, because in these years we have, at the same time as we increase the yield as the other, we have decreased use of fertilizer with about 30% in these years. There's a black line in the top. And the same with liquid manure, the loss of NH4 in the fields and in the use of fertilizer, we have decreased that as well. So with less input to the field, we can actually produce more. And there's only one reason to that. It is actually better plant varieties. The efficiency in the varieties are a lot better than they were for 30 years ago. And if we then go, and it is not only the nitrogen surplus we have decreased, at the same time we have decreased the greenhouse gas emission, and especially in Europe now, it is very political. It is a very hot political focus area, and that's why we also come up with some new proposal to the PRN in the future, that when we make this variety test, we want to have a lot more tested in the variety, because the farmers, when we have to choose a variety, we really need to know what can I expect of that new variety, and it must be tested from the examination offices in the different countries, so we know exactly how it is. And there is also another thing when I talk about good varieties, because the use of certified seeds, new seeds every year or every second year, it is very important. You can see these countries we had before, they are here. Denmark is a country who have the highest use of new varieties every year and the certified seed. The other country is lower. They have a lower use of new and better varieties, and they have also a higher use of pesticides. They have a higher use of nitrogen to give the same yields, and they have a lower profit for the farmer. And in Denmark, we have you can't see what is that. It is only a picture that to tell you that we have a variety list. It is a VSU test where we actually make a lot of tests, more than it is actually needed to, will many people say. But we know exactly what is the straw starch, the straw length, the protein contents, the starch contents, if there are some special brewery quality for malt barley, and in that we want to have in the future more that what is the climate impact on a variety? Because if we really need to produce 50% more, and we have to take care of the climate change and reduce the climate gas reduction, then we need to have the best performing variety who have the lowest climate impact, and it must be tested as well. Of course, we must have that. At the same time, the variety have to be tested for fungal resistance and drought resistance and all these things, because it is needed for the farmers to know in the future. Another study we have made, it is that how old can a variety be before it is still a good variety. And if we take the top 20 varieties, it is the same in Denmark. In 2011, it was top 20 of the variety, and they was yielding better than index 100. And they had the same, if we use the same varieties in 4 or 5 years, they kept the yield. But after 5 years, the yield began to decrease for the different variety. It was the same material, but it is this gene degeneration all plants have. They breeded material, they try to go back to where they come from. So actually this variety, when the variety was about 8-10 years, they was about 5-10, some of them to 15% lower than index 100 of the new variety. And that's why the farmers in Denmark are very much focusing always what are the new varieties performing, and what is the yields and all these things. And a variety, a new good varieties stay on the top of the list 4 or 5 years, and then they are nearly out of the market because of this situation here. And then the question about analyzing the price in farm safe seed and the discussion on farm safe seed and cereals and certified seed. If you look at the price and what is actually, now I can see, I don't know, it is good on all screens, but there's the red, it is the royalty we pay for the breeders. Blue, it is the cereal price. And green, it is green yellow. It is cleaning and treatment cost, and then there's a profit for the trade we can have, or for the farmers if you clean, if you do the work yourself. But actually, there's a big difference what the price is in a different country. But the royalty is not the biggest problem for the price for the certified seed. The profit that is needed, and if we take the line, it is a farm safe seed price. If we have to pay for the treatment and for the cleaning and all these things, then it is actually it is cheaper, yes, but it is not very much. But we need to have new varieties, so the royalty is very important. But when it is not the royalty who is the main reason to that the certified seed is too expensive in many countries, it is mostly in many countries it is the cleaning companies or the treatment companies who take these costs to make the certified seed too expensive. So if you look at that, it is actually very important that the farmers say, if they use a farm safe seed, they clean the seed so good as the certified seed. Because if they don't clean the seed so good and treat it so good as a certified seed, they will have problem in the field afterwards, because then they get the weeds and maybe some very difficult weeds out in the field, and then they need to use more herbicide to kill these weeds and so on. So in Denmark, we have actually said that we have in Europe the regulations that farm safe seed, the farmers use and protected variety. He can use it on his own farm, but he had to pay 50% of the royalty. But in Denmark, we have to stress the breeders to make better varieties. We actually have said that now it is 75%, and in a few years we actually want to drop this discount for some farmers, because what is the reason to that a farmer or a small farmer need to have a 50% discount on the royalty and all the other things? It is actually a full price. So we need to have a system where we have the money go for the breeding programs, and then we have taken another thing. These breeders, they must have a transparency in Denmark, because if they use the money for new breeding programs, they are on the list. But if they pay the money out to the owners of the breeding company and as profit, they are on the blacklist, because we need to have money to the cooperatives, and we can't have these companies who just put the money in the pocket. From the farmer side now, it is the enforcement. There's a lot in some countries. We have some problems with that farmers doesn't want to pay for the royalty for farm safe seed, and it doesn't help to take the farmers to the court. It only make big troubles. No, we need to find a way where we can tell the farmers that there is actually a very big profit for the farmer to use the new varieties and use better variety. Because even if a small farmer, if I had only a small area, a small farm, I had been very interested to use the best seed on my farm, that I could have the best yield on the small area. A big farm could have a bigger risk to have a not so good variety, but in average, I will say for all farmers, it must be the best way that we learn them to use the best variety every year. And there must be a transparency that we know exactly what the farmers get when he is buying the certified seed, so that he can sell his product and he can guarantee the consumer that it is exactly what the farmers produce in the field. We need better rules for protection, yes. And when I talked about in the beginning that we want to come with some proposal to a better PRN, a better variety rights legislation in Europe, it is that we need to have a certification system where we can use these informations we get from the examination officers that we can prove for the consumers that we use this variety. The breeding tools has been this and this, and we have a fingerprint on it. We have the exact starch contents, protein contents, climate impact, and and all these things. We need to be able to sell these things as a product to the coming producers we have in the world. So, and then the only way we can do that is that we stress the breeders to make better breeding, and at the same time that we make system that money to the breeding programs come, and that they have money enough for the innovation, and of course they use the money for innovation, and it is a very important thing. And then we will have better varieties, and it will be the best for the society of the world, and especially in Europe. So it was my introduction. Thank you.